There it is. There it is. We in the building. And we bad right there. Who was that right there?
Sorry, I'm eating my lunch.
What up? Shout out to.
We got Nicky in the building.
Hey, Nicky in the building.
Hell yeah. What's up, guys?
What up, doggy?
What's up, Poppy? Hey, Poppy, you're the one talking right here in this mic.
Right here.
Now you don't got to get close. I can bring it to you.
All right. So, Dog, what do you just to get your take on did you hear what was going on with
Millie Farm Fresh?
Yeah.
A little bit, not particularly. So I heard Millie doing his thing right there. He's like laying out the science, man. He's always been good about that.
Right? Shit.
Oh yeah, he's always been good about that. Yeah.
Dude, yeah, you got some stories with Millie too, man.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is true too. I didn't even think about that.
Man. This guy. So we were explaining. I was letting him know that like you're the first guy to give me my first dab ever, right?
No shit, huh?
We grew up in,
what was Luis like back then?
Oh man. He was a little hellion. Me and him both were, man. Oh my gosh.
We were like devils, dude. We were little crazy boys. But,
definitely. Always a chiller, though. Always about the weed.
Always about the weed.
We were the stoner crew down there in Tucson.
Yeah.
We were definitely it was weird back then because it was back in, I was like 2008, 2009. So weed was kind of becoming legit, but becoming dank. That's when really super fire was like starting to drop and
I want
shit.
to talk about how we both knew. That's how we connected this through a grower. And this guy just had some pretty fucking fire back in the day.
And this is 2009, 2010?
Dude, we're talking about he was growing some
this
fucking...
2000 and so it was 11?
2010?
Like 2008. Because I graduated technically in 11, so that was like my sophomore, junior year.
You bought
so
your
that was
first oven like 2011, 2010, right?
That's crazy, bro.
Right? Because I totally remember this. I remember I was a young kid, bro, like walking in and seeing these fools and I remember him and the homeboy. They bought the first fucking combo bird, all this shit, man.
In the scene, man, I was all about it. I love that shit.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, so you were already, because we became a medical state in November 2010, right? So obviously in high school, blowing tree, doing your thing. Oh yeah. Were you already processing, making wax at that time, or?
So I'm about to come up on my, what is it? It's going to be my 12th birthday, I call it, which is October 10th, 2011.
Okay.
Wow. That's the first batch I ever ran. It's crazy, and I remember that date. It's wild, and one of the things I attribute to me, doing all right at extraction is that I remember damn near almost every strain I ran. People will come up to me and be like, have the old envelopes, we'll get into that, just talk about different strains. Like, oh my God, I had your strain back in, 2013, 2014 down there, one of the, Jack, I ran a lot of Jack. I ran a lot of
had a lot of Jack Herrera.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Lemon sour diesel was that one down there.
Were those all Arizona strains out here that you were getting, or were they growing out here?
No, it was mostly Cali. Yeah. And then we had the one grower homie.
Yeah, our homie.
Yeah, Big Dust that, that's who we linked up at. Shout out
Dusty,
Dusty.
If you know Dusty, he's the shit, bro. That fool fucking had some fire, dude. And
shit.
Talk about having Toros and Sovs and all that shit before anybody.
I mean, that was the house we would go that in high school. Everybody had that house that was the nice ass house where the parents didn't give a fuck.
Nice.
And so that was the community spot back in the day.
And this is when you were in high school?
Yes. Oh yeah, dude. It was tight, bro. And we all grew up in a nice area too.
Yeah,
so
it was
cool. It wasn't ghetto at all. It was very nice. We all had fairly wealthy parents and shit. It was in the foothills, really nice area. Yeah. So it was kind of safe to do that, and we were both little risk takers, didn't give a fuck. So
I grew up on the west side of Tucson, but Nicky grew up in a really nice area, but went to an area in Tucson where it was if you went to that school and you knew fucking plugs, you were in.
No shit.
You were fucking in
popping.
Because
it was all the rich kids.
It's all the rich kids.
It was all the rich kids,
kids
private
too.
school, college kids, everything. So,
but that school was right in the middle of an area where if you could meet some motherfucking fools that are about it and be like, all right, I can get this now because these fools know that I got money and they fuck with me because I'm a cool dude.
Yeah, okay. It's tight, and there was a lot of trust because nobody was. Everybody's
small town.
It's super small town, nice area. So we would just link up and that was the homie. I knew him from the kid I used to play basketball with in middle school. And then I was in the same grade as your brother. I'm in the same grade as your brother, right? Yeah. So I was in the same grade as his brother. So we knew each other, and then Louise was coming over and we were dabbing. I was bringing I was bringing like post blast over to his house to put in the oven. Like,
so that was then okay. So you made your first one. Who introduced you to your first dab then?
So I got to shout out my boy right now. I don't know if he's watching or not, but Anton Wolak. Him and I were,
Wolak.
Yeah, that's my good homie. He's gonna laugh when I fucking show him this shit. But him and I were just like big science nerds, and we love to smoke weed, like big science nerds. I think he does shit for NASA now.
Okay.
So like he's like and we were just like I was like AP chemistry in like junior or sophomore year of high school and shit, like but started smoking weed, can't do math, great at experiments, but like me and him were just super nerdy. And then one of our boys had a med card. Actually, like his mom went and bought him a med card at 17.
Damn, nice.
Oh yeah, he was a year younger than me, so it was when I was
Fire.
18. But we just like tried wax, and then my buddy linked me up with this this Facebook group where, as an 18-year-old kid, they let me into this wax Facebook group, bro. Yeah, because I started talking to him a little bit about like science, and like. Then he was like, okay, kind of started explaining to me the SOPs. Like he would go on Reddit and shit and like, find this was all like glass tube. And then he like Vector, you made the Vector comment earlier. You made the Vector comment. He was all about like the MSDS sheets, which that's the material safety data sheet for any product. I don't know if y'all know this, but you can Google any single product MSDS sheet and you can see exactly what's in it.
Wow.
So it was, and that's tested. So that is something you have to submit to the
government.
Well, if they like a lot of products say they have shit in it or like they don't have shit in it. You can literally look up the if you know how to read it. It's a lengthy document that you kind of got to like dig through a little bit.
And
but
that's what I
it
always
goes into the material data.
You were always about your science, and you always did your studies, and you always like, yo, don't try this or don't do that or don't smoke this thing. And I was like, man, like. I always appreciated that.
Yeah,
so.
and I don't like being lied to. And I started why I really started dabbing too was I started getting really sick from smoking weed because I get really bad respiratory infections. Okay. And so like my buddy was just like, yeah, it's purified wax. I smoke wax. And then I remember I smoked with Z before that all happened back in the day. Yeah, with Carlos. And then, that was a real one. At his house, and the first time I ever tried to dab, I took a dab with him and Carlos and like a couple of the other like kids from South Point. And I was high for, I shit you not, 8 hours.
Damn.
They gave me like a P3. I was high for 8 hours. I went home to my mom and I was just sitting there on the couch like, and she was just like, you have to be high. You have to be high. I'm like, no.
Are these red hot dabs too at the time?
Oh, red hot sizzlers. I think it was off just like a China skillet, probably.
Man, yeah, with the breader crumble, and that's like how we used to always do it.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was, you can't waste your dab. Back then it was the opposite of wasted. It was like, you better take that shit off.
Fucking dropping faint, like they're not.
Your brother, bro. Your brother at Dusty's house.
Yeah, bro. I had like a fucking like $10,000 bong. It was like about to break type shit. Yeah.
What was it that inspired you while you were taking these dabs? Or was it just something about it that made you, like you said, you did it for respiratory reasons and got sick and things like that, but like you could just buy it. You don't need to make it. What inspired you to like say, fuck it, I'm gonna buy this equipment?
Well, we were getting some super fire tree from Cali, super fire tree, and we were all like enjoying smoking it. And I was just like, fuck, I can't smoke that much, but this like we were getting a lot of like diesels, OGs. We had this one like blackberry cobbler back in the day. Oh my gosh. And I was like, I want to dab this.
Damn.
And then I started chopping it up with Anton Wolak, shout out my boy again. And I started chopping it up with him. And then he introduced me to all these forums, and I just kind of got interested in it. I had a big backyard right next to South Point and U of A, so like right down there in the mix. And like I had a big backyard, private fence, like area that I could do it out on.
So you were on forums trying to figure out how to do it. You didn't have someone in that could show you a tech or anything. You did everything on your own.
No. I just like through pictures and study, just grabbed it. And obviously, like the first couple times were just. I got like 2 grams out of like 10 grams of like weed or like something like that, which is good yield. But.
Break it down on what the equipment was. Like where and what did you get it, right?
So I call this a 10-year challenge.
Okay.
So this was me. The original was a glass tube, and you had to go to a smoke shop. And you had to chop around. And this was right before I started knowing all those glass blowers in Tucson. So that was one of the things that got me into the glass blower scene was I always liked good bongs, nice bongs to smoke out of. And then I had to shop around to all these different smoke shops to find the right glass tube. Some were like funky tops, some were like flat. Like if you got a thin one, that shit would potentially break in your hand. Like, it had to be the right thickness. You know, there's like parameters. I mean, just like my equipment now, but there's parameters to it that I understood where it's just like, oh shit, it's like if you have a wonky beaker in chemistry class, or like your mixer doesn't stir right or something like that, like your reaction's not going to go as well. So, you know, just that kind of scientific, like dialing it in and kind of, you know, perfective qualities. And then like, it's all about yield too. So it's like, I play around with like the flat top, like squared ones that were longer and then like littler, fatter ones. And then like,
what was the best?
So I got my buddy to make a few of these tubes that literally it was like a 9 mil thick wall. So like a US tube, like fat, like literally like the top of a US tube. And then he took it and he blew an 18 millimeter fitting onto it.
What?
And then he could take the fittings with a joint and custom make it to my tip size on my vector cans. And then I could take the tips off and unpack my tube from the top.
Damn. So my man went out there and was doing this. What else though? You had your glass tube, you had gloves, like, well, I mean, because like it really was like a very easy setup, right? Like when you think back, like you're talking like.
Well, even when I was doing, like, a lot of people thought I was running closed loop. This is a big. It's a big thing, people. I wasn't running closed loop at all when I did any of the envelope tests. That was full open blast.
No
I mean, other than a few, there was a few, which I did run a closed loop with Millie, but at the time, like, and that's where some of my closed loop batches came from. But all that shit was open blast tube. If you can do it right with good flour and good tain, and you spend the money on the tain, like it's really not that bad. I've got my stuff lab tested. Like it's really like the mystery oil. If you run it cold enough, condenses at the top of the column. So like mystery oil is kind of like it's kind of like a myth
about that shit.
You know? Oh yeah, well it's in there.
Yeah,
it's in those cans, man. Like if you spray a can into a jar and let it evaporate, it's like, whoa, shit, that's in there. Like, eesh. But
I forgot about the mystery oil.
Oh, but dude, it's like the wheat. It condenses. It's heavier than butane. And when you're talking about like running a dry ice column, it's negative 40 degrees. So like you literally will empty your column and you'll see like the top little puck is like yellow. From like waxy and like oily from the mystery oil, but the mystery oil is super heavy, so it really doesn't carry over. Yeah, and I've gotten my shit lab tested, so that was one of the things like why I was confident running open blast was one of the first things when cannabis testing labs went down here, and I mean they've gotten better. They weren't like the results. I was all right with my results because it didn't pop for anything crazy, but yeah, they were kind of a shit show back in the day. But I took it down and got it tested, and it was just like there's no mystery oil, and this is like this decent amount of butane, but you know.
So you get the equipment, you have flour. It's 2011. We just went medical. It's not in dispensaries. The only way to get wax in Arizona, if I'm not mistaken, was streets. The legend market.
And then 2000, like, and the whole patient to patient thing too. Like, I'm more just. This is where social media plays a huge role in my life, and I should probably utilize it more than I do. But I'm busy right now, so it's like you know. But like things like this, very important. So what happened was. You know, I just started getting on Facebook, got on all these groups, was learning how to make oil, kind of made like a little bit of a group following in Tucson.
Okay.
And then one of my buddies was like, I got this invite one day. Shout out Philbrick.
No shit.
The AZ Hammond Project. The AZ Hammond Project. That's some real OG shit right there.
You plug in.
You're an OG. If you were in the AZ Hammond Project, that's an automatic OG stamp.
I remember in that project, me and Sky High would battle and shit like that on like deals and shit like that.
It got heated. Man. So there was a lot of friends and enemies made on the AZ Hammond Project because we were all young little shit talkers, man. So it's just and back then it was
crazy to see like the like what we started with, like how the hash head kids are like, you know, kind of like that now. But
the scene now is a lot more like tame and chill because it's way more developed. Back then, it was everybody like everyone. It was who's better, you know? Dude, who can make more like this and that? Like
weed back then were like heavy hitter motherfuckers. They were that folks that like talk shit and back it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't like businessmen. It was still transitional industry.
It was still legacy.
Yeah, it was still legacy.
Yeah, it was still legacy.
Yeah, it was very like it was. So
let's talk about when's the first time you used those envelopes, or like what made you transition from Tucson to Phoenix, right? Like because I know that was a big move, and that was like damn, like whoa, like Nicky's out here fucking like, you know, it was impossible to get in touch with you for a while.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Well, I mean, the transition, like what happened was just Tucson's very small. And so what happened was I ended up, you know, like me and like a couple of my buddies started making oil, and you know, like one of my good best friends, considered my brother now, Matt Clark. Shout out Matt. If he's listening, Big Clark. Shout out Clark. But
yeah, big shout out Clark.
It was like me and him and a couple other dudes, and it's just a small pie down there, bro. And we all kind of started like selling to different people, but we all wanted to help each other. So like we all had similar strains. So then it was just like, you know, like kind of it got very competitive in a scene that, you know, didn't need to be, because we were all friends. Because we were all, I explained it like as just, you know, we were all fighting for that piece of that pie, you know, for sure.
And we didn't have too much going on out here at that time too. No. I remember out here we had a couple brands. If the chat can remind me of the brands that we had floating around in Phoenix, because I think that's why you were able to come out to Phoenix too, was because we kind of had a demand for it.
Oh, yeah. And that was the thing, is what made the transition, you know, like, because
Miracle Earl.
Like, yeah, Miracle Earl for sure.
Who's down here? Shout out to that OGs like that. I feel like that era helped push Arizona cannabis. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, once people started branding, you know, and for me it was more of just like a cool name. And you know, I was thinking of a cool name back in the day.
Remember Vader Extracts?
Oh, the Battle of Cali for sure. Yep.
Whatever happened to Pigpen?
Dude, I don't know. A lot of those fools got wrapped up.
Damn.
I feel like I can't say specifically. I can't say specifically in case anybody's wondering. But I've heard a few stories in Cali where like it just changed a lot too, or they went underground, and now it's like, you know, people aren't as prevalent because they're, you know, a lot of those people like CES and, you know, like even Jungle Boys and stuff like that. Like they're still kind of big, but like, you know, realistically, they're legit now. So legit is a lot less focused on social media, and social media is still important. And like, but now like the events aren't happening. There's not as much exposure.
Right.
So, you know, those events used to be like money. That was the way to go make that check.
Right.
Like,
no, we're talking about all those.
Well, like Lax, like, you know, like Chalice, you know, back in like the High Times cups back in the day. I remember running booths at the High Times cups and like, gift like goodie bags, because they had the rule where you didn't have to, you know, like there was no vending, but there would be no penalties. It would be on you, essentially, you know, in legal words.
Hey,
and they would say,
PhD,
so they're like,
THC,
we ain't gonna bust you. So like, I was out there with Golden State Extracts, and we were just like, oh, goodie bags, $50 for, you know, like a couple grams T-shirt, you know, like all this like koozie, a couple stickers and stuff like that. And then it's just grams. I just gram sale right there, bro. Yeah, we kind of like, we tried to hide it, but then there's people out there with fucking packs, slabs, just not giving a fuck, because they didn't care.
So crazy. What worries did you have? Were you worried about anything at that era right there? Because I mean,
well, that's what. Well, for me, I was always really kind of strict about my sales, my customer base.
Okay.
Where, you know, back in the day, the traditional market and the legacy market, I gotta start using that.
Hey, there's a little
you know who I picked up the legacy market was Arizona Chiefers, actually. When he was in here with the
shout out
legacy.
Arizona Chiefers, sure.
And it's funny, I was watching this documentary on CNN, or not CNN, NBC, and they use the traditional legacy market, right? I was like,
no shit.
That is a legacy, man. That's
PhD, THC. The first time I saw you, I thought you were Pigpen. I was like, holy shit, Pigpen is back.
Oh, damn, man, I'm weak.
He's over here saying, fuck Vader Extracts.
Oh, I'm weak. So, oh, no. Well, what's up?
I was going to say, so what was some of like at its grandest scale, what were some of your fucking biggest months, sales-wise?
Always around 420. Anybody in this industry knows like 420 is just, dude, but when you sell out, you had to make more. You always have to. Dispensaries even now, like even our project, I'm like, dude, 420, bro. Like
six figures?
That's like coming up. Nah, I never made that much money because I was never about making the money. I was about the hash. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and like I made a lot of. I mean, I touched it, but you know, like I also like. Got very like spendy.
Hey, you had amazing prices. He had amazing prices. I do remember that. I was in line, bro. I mean, come on, man. Like you definitely putting it down.
But for me, I couldn't like afford to have anybody, and actually shout out Miracle right now, because he came and helped me when I needed to run some batches. Grand Canna as well for helping me. Who else helped me? Dan helped me out. There's a couple other people on fucking like Millie definitely helped me out on a couple batches. So there you go. But yeah, there's a whole host of homies where it's like if I needed that help, if I had somebody at the time, and those were all in different, you know, like phases of my life, you know, yeah, I'd reach out. But for me, I didn't want to overexert myself perfecting and creating my art. And I felt like, you know, like as an artist, it was like, and that's why I always demanded such a high price. People were like, oh, like I would always try to beat me up on price. And it was just like, nah, dude, like I'm just in this trying to like make my nut, make a little extra bread,
gotcha,
and not be
fire
rich.
To smoke.
You know, like, yeah. And if I come up on a couple fire batches that I got for cheap, for sure. But I'm focused on like, dude, you know, I was buying packs for fucking 26 was the lowest. It was like 30, like 28, 32, 34. Like I would go in there and I would just be buying straight like QPs to try out. You know, where it was just like I would show up and just be like, and I would just source them. I'd be like, I don't care how expensive it is. Exactly. I want to run that shit.
And packs were like $3,000. Like,
no, yeah, like a 32 was like a fire. That was a standard, you know, like, and then it would be more expensive as you broke it down like further.
100%.
So it was just like, oh yeah, you know, like it was, and I had a few good connections, which is also one of the reasons I moved up here to Phoenix was because I was down there in Tucson, went to the Lax, came up to the Lax a couple times. Shout out E. And,
shout out E.
You know, like, it was such a cool community and people had already, like I had kind of established an online presence because like there's not really a community down in Tucson. It's just like people who want to smoke. Like you don't really want to sesh with them.
I was living in a
ghetto area.
Okay, my bad. Actually, I hate to cut it off real quick.
Oh, you're good.
And breaking news here. Supposedly there's someone in the chat saying that I owe money for digital work. And I'm just like, and I guess that I'm just catching on this right now. And it's now become a thing. So what the fuck is
call on in.
Talking about?
You got a number right there to call on in.
Oh, let's call. Yeah, call up. But like I don't understand what the fuck. I definitely would pay. I don't know. You got to remind me or tell me what's up.
Yeah, Jay ain't that type of guy. I tell you that.
What the fuck?
All right.
So my apologies, real quick.
No, you're good.
It is there because I don't
want no drama starting in the chat. I'm drama free. You know me.
No. I just. It seems like they were even talking about it. I'm paying attention to our conversation, so it's hard for me to pay attention to the chat. But
I talk real fast.
Please,
no, you're good, Joe.
If there's someone out there, I'm just letting you know, real quick. If there's someone out there that feels that I owe them any money, please reach out to me because I definitely would take care of any debts. So,
amen.
It is at Jason. The email's on there. The phone number's on there. You can call me out live right now. I have no problem with that. Do so. But let's not be in the chat or anything like that. That's, you know, I don't understand where that even came from. But moving forward, my apologies to interrupt this interview. It was something that was in this chat, so I just wanted to address it real quick.
Oh, you're good. You're covering all bases. That's what I call covering all bases right there. Where
thank you. I appreciate that too in the chat for bringing that to my attention. Mine, yours was the one that I realized when you said something, you're like, you might want to address this, but I really won't stop because I'm. So.
I want to get back to it.
Get back to it, dog. I'm gonna like this blunt.
How did these motherfucking envelopes start, and who was doing your digital work on these things?
J. Cole, shout out J. Cole, man. J. Cole, that fool was creative as fuck. Yeah. All I would do is tell him a strain name. And then I would pay this fool in fucking oil, man. It was the easiest deal ever. And he killed it every single time. I still have my booklet. I should have brought my booklet. Sorry, I pretty much came like right after work, so I didn't bring my materials. But, you know, like I still have the booklet of virtually every single sticker.
That's there was awesome,
dude. I'll send you a picture to post up because there, like, I would always have extras because for me, I didn't know the exact yield of a batch, and he was so diligent that he wanted to have them shits ready the second that slab came out the oven on its last cycle.
Wow.
So like, yeah, he's
diligent,
professional, always killed it, and all I would do would be like, here's what I'm running, you know, this week. Boom, boom, boom. Here's my estimated yields. I would give that to him even before I ran the batch because I was pretty good at like yield judgment based on flower analysis. So I was telling like, you know, if I thought it was going to be, you know, like a fire like 18 to 22, you know, % batch. Excuse me, guys.
Hey, he's over here having some drinks.
But yeah, no, I gotta, you know, I had to. It was a long day. So
I love myself a drink too. You see me at the Suns game. Let's not front. Come on, dog. Come on, dog.
Get Suns game Jason on the podcast. I promise y'all.
Holy shit.
But yeah, no. So he was just very like diligent, and I would just give him my expected yield, and then I'd always have a few extras. So you know, like for me, like I had like And man, some of the stuff he would come up with for like the Gorilla Glues, the Goji. I remember, sorry to bring this up, Sky High. They had a couple. No, I know it's all love now, bro. Like shout out to Sky High, bro.
I was talking about it earlier.
Because that was an era. But he would make me custom stickers because I was like, I'm going to give these fools a couple grams and like hand out some samples to homies at shows. So I have the custom AKM sticker with a, the signed envelope, a signed shirt, got to meet up with Andrew, dish him a couple grams of oil, went out to a lunch with him the next day with me and the homie Bruce, and then Jason is producer.
Hold on, he's back. So you guys want a group of people who owe money to call in for a podcast line for content? No, not that.
No,
money is not content.
I know who this is now.
Who is it?
This is fucking that one dude. This is fucking I think it's Moonman. And hey, guys, like call, like let's do this.
Moonman Meds?
I don't even know. Like, yes, I think it's being made up, and all he's trying to do is funny. It is what it is.
Weirdo ass.
All right, so yeah, we're gonna move on. Call or I'm not gonna address this anymore. We're gonna move on, and let's just ban these people. Unless you're gonna call on live, don't fuck with my shit. Let's move forward.
Yeah, real talk.
All right,
that's real. That's what I call real talk right there. So
full weirdo.
All right, so where were we though?
Kind of envelopes, and like it was like everything. Like we were at the glass blowing shows at Sky High. Okay. So yeah, I had one from Andrew AKM. I have one from Carlson. What was the other one? I think I have two more, but I still have them in little packets. Like just like straight like in a Ziploc bag, shirt, the envelope. Like a couple stickers, like Carlson actually gifted me, a pin and then a piece of the prep from the pipe. So I would always just want to show love, because I was very proud of my product. Yeah. That's why I never tried to be like super loud and big. Was because I just was very like proud. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I worked as hard as I needed to. And like I got to live a chill ass life, bro. I just rolled around session with collecting glass, like going to shows.
Well, mind you, like you were touching like some money out of how old were you?
Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean like
22, 24.
Well, at first, I mean like what I can attribute buying most of my collection off of, because essentially like I just ran enough to like pay my bills and then have like 4 or 5 G's at the end of the month, so I was not making a lot of money off that, but like NorCal, oh my God, dude, I would go out there and like I linked up with a couple people out there, showed them some processing tips, like kind of like worked with them a little bit, and I would just bring slabs back for 5 and flip them for like 1,000. That's why I bought. That's where my big spike in collecting came from. Hey, I ain't shy. Right. So statute of limitations, 7 years.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm well over that. You were one of the biggest collectors in Arizona, man. Like so, like
I was making bread, bro. Like I was getting it. And like driving up to NorCal with me and the homie. And like driving up there, linking up with people, like talk about like had knowledge, that'll come later. But that was it's an experience, because I'm a cowboy, like that was for me. It's like I'm a fucking cowboy, bro. Like I get out there and like my homie. I gotta shout out my boy Christian right now because he said that yesterday and I was just like, hell yeah, bro, you fucking me too. So I'm like, I'm a cowboy, bro. I was just like, hey, you need shit ran? Like I got some equipment. Let me bring it through. Let's fucking do it. Yeah. Let's fucking do it. Like I was not scared at all.
Well, I still love before, like even the past like 4 years, you've still been a consultant. You've still been about it and going out there to like fucking legal medical places out there, and they're in the woodworks. They're fucking Palm Valleys. They're in fucking places where you're like, dude, there's only a gas station there to eat food, right?
Yeah, and I mean like everybody needs help, and as long as you can go evaluate the facility and make sure that's safe. Because that's the only thing for me is just like I don't know fuck if it's legal or illegal. I think weed should be completely legal. I think people should be able to do what they want as long as they're safe. Because I've seen some very unsafe situations that can happen in my job, which actually happened to that one out in Cali. I can't talk too much about that. I can't talk too much about that. Okay. But it's essentially a worker unplugged the vent fan.
Yeah, okay. I know
worker unplugged the vent fan and like boom dynamite, like knocked it. So it's man. I mean, safety is a huge thing when you're dealing with like explosive chemicals, especially on like the production scale. This was kind of recently, so it's just like, oh man, like you gotta.
And luckily, you were in the building.
I wasn't even. That was long after I left, so I heard about it. And then was like, oh shit, what the fuck? Like, oh crazy. My God.
And those types of things came down the road too. And I know that like, so let's I want to hear what was the inspiration or what was the reason that you left the legacy market, and went on to Echo.
Well, the legacy market, it was great for a while, but then like the fire tree started falling off.
Really?
Because, started falling off. Because the prices started going up because there was a big influx of like
rapper weed.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing is that like a lot of people were going legit, so less people like it was kind of like a very duality market.
Well,
where
that's when cookies and all that shit. Was coming out,
so
right?
a lot of so there was two things that really I could see and I attribute to hitting the like high quality flower market was not only the like a lot of growers getting popped. And then, but everybody else is like, fuck this, I'm going legal. And like a lot of people, it's probably like 80-20, like legal to getting popped. Like a lot of them like got cleared out and then like some of those genetics just won't come back. And then, but a lot of them were like, fuck this, I'm going fucking legal. Yep. And then, you can't bring certain genetics into a new facility. You kind of got to start from scratch. You want to start from scratch. And then like it's all going through dispensaries, which the dispensary pop right around there, especially in like Cali, which is where a lot of it was coming from, was like, oh shit, like people want fire because it just got so flooded with all the fucking booth. And then where it was like fire. And then also like outdoor is gas. Like outdoor was reaching a peak at that time.
Okay.
Where, I could go into a whole 3-hour conversation about like how the outdoor has been ruined in California now, but dude, it is not the same. It'll never be the same between the fires, all the smoke damage, all the property damage. Like, dude, I've been up there like even recently, like as Luisa said, I've done a couple consults, but I've been up there like recently, and for me, consults aren't producing. It's facility looking at. So I'm an engineer, for sure. And that's why I also play it safe, because it's just like there's no processing going on. Yeah. It's just I go out there I'm a plumber basically. Gotcha. But dude, the devastation of some of these fires ruined everybody's weed. Everybody's trying to recompensate. So outdoor like hit high and started getting super dank, which like everybody's like, fuck it, indoor, like I'm just gonna either become legal or sweep it out. And then like for me, it was just getting harder and harder and harder to find good product. And then I was having to like second rate product, and then dispensaries came in and were like, I was like, damn, I can't sell a freaking $35 gram of shatter, like $35 gram of shatter. My grams were like 50 to 60 back in the day.
Damn.
So it was just like, you can get it for like 40 to 45 if you bought like, a decent amount.
Well,
but
and then like the deals and then it was like, are doing too.
Yeah. And then people
crazy.
like, and it was like, oh man, like I can't compete with that. And I didn't have the flow.
Who reached out to who? Did they reach out to you? Or
I actually knew Katie Good, if she's listening right now. Shout out.
Hell yeah.
And she was the manager at Bloom and followed me on Instagram. And she hit me up and was like, hey, they want to get some of your stuff lab tested because I've been talking to them and I bought some of your shatter. Like I linked up with her and was just kind of like chilling. And then she's like, I bought some of your shatter, and like I showed them because I was really impressed with what we get. So she blessed me with that opportunity. Reach out to me. Shout out to Katie Good.
Shout out
for sure. Oh yeah. If anybody from the old school Bloom is listening, shout out Katie Good for sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
And she reached out and like made me a meeting with the CEO. And like it was crazy. And he was just like, I want some to test, because he didn't smoke. He wasn't a smoker, so he was like, I'll lab test it. And, like lab tested it, came back and was like, how much can you make? Can you come out for an evaluation? And they originally wanted me to make distillate.
No shit.
And they brought me out. The lab was so unsafe. And like,
no shit.
They were like, yeah, we make like a pound or two a week. I looked at them, I was like, wait, you got one back oven, like a closed loop system. This thing was on a dymo, people, like literally a freaking car lift dymo, like strapped to it. And, it was very structurally sound. They had tested it and ran it for a while, but I looked at this thing and I was like, what the fuck? And then they brought me on and they were just like, yeah, no, like, small salary, like come on and like do your thing, see what's up.
Were they not, at the time, did they have anybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Pina colada was
like, you said pound a week. It was like not.
They had this one dude who was a chemist, and I love chemists, but if you're like a collegiate study chemist, you don't really know that much. Like the basic principles, but it's different. It's more of like it's like understanding how NASCAR works and being like a pit crew or like one of the like technicians, and then driving a fucking being Dale Earnhardt Jr. driving a fucking race car at 200 fucking miles an hour. You know, it's like it's a little different because there's like it moves fast. There's not room for you to like sit there and be like, oh, this reaction's happening. I have to do this. It's like, oh shit, that color's fucking dark. I gotta fucking run that or fucking get it colder or like CRC it, repass it. Like it's like, and that's instantaneous because it degrades by the second. You know, like when you have butane in there, like your saturation rate and saturation time of the butane in the material, the more, no matter how cold it is, which I run cryogenic temperatures, I run like negative 70 degree Fahrenheit. So it's like, I run like virtually true cryogenics around negative 100, but you know, we run pretty damn cryogenic. And even then your time, you know, your hang time essentially of the butane in the column, like dude, like it'll leach chlorophyll, you know? So you got to judge those things in real time, be able to see it, be able to judge it, you know. And then a lot of things too is like butane is, I've seen some really bad incidents with butane. Like it's dangerous. It's super dangerous.
Explosive.
Super dangerous.
And talk about how butane used to not have a smell.
Oh yeah. Well, it's only got a smell to the trained nose now because all of our shit is you know, research grade and non-odorized. So shout out Solvent Direct. Got to get some X gas and try that out. Research grade.
Okay, there we go.
Oh nice. Yeah, my boy Lex. But
so you talked to them, you got to deal with them, and at the time, though, they had like a bad lab, didn't they?
They did. Well, no, they did. They had a piece of crap lab. Okay. So that's one thing I'm also very good at doing with like a lot of consoles as I come out, and I'm like, the first thing you're gonna need to do is spend like, I hate to hear this, I'm like, you're gonna need to spend like $100,000, you know, like $150,000. Because this shit is a fucking paperweight.
Wow.
And like I can make it work, and then just like make it work for a couple months, and like I made that shit. I made that shit work. And then the second he had the money, which he was a very diligent business person, he was like, okay, I see what you're doing. Like, run for it.
No shit.
And yeah, and I mean, the first few batches of diamonds I made were on like just a Frankenstein. We call it a Frankenstein in my industry, bro, where it's just a bunch of different columns. You don't know where they came for. You don't know where they came from. Sorry. But like they're from different manufacturers. Back then the manufacturers weren't super legit. You know, and so it was just like you just kind of had to like trust it. Yeah. And you know, from running, like I had ran some closed loops that were actually fairly quality back in the day, and you know, like with Millie mainly, and you know, I'd ran a couple closed loops that were pretty quality, so I knew what to look for. But you know, it was a gamble every single time. I mean, we used to do some crazy shit, man, like some cowboy shit. It was definitely, we didn't have a butane detector for like the first shit. Yeah, because it was it wasn't necessarily a legitimate lab, even though it was at a legitimate facility. Okay, so that's all I can say about that. But, you know, so like allegedly, but
so you built this based off your experience and what you knew about it. Was it like and
there were parts there, like they had like a decent system, but they were doing a lot of things that were taught improperly by companies back in the day. Because even now, companies like will juice information and have like people who don't design. That's why like having a system provider and the people who has the parts, and then somebody like me, a designer, and somebody who knows how it works. It's like that's a really key relationship now that we can talk about in a little bit. But they had just all these parts, and so I just had to rebuild it. And, you know, a system like a lot of what we do is like, it's kind of adult Legos. If you understand the fitting sizes and the lingo, you know, there's like, you know, tri-clamp fittings, different sizes of, you know, ID, OD, internal dimension, outer dimension, you know, like, you know, JIC fittings, MPT fittings, swage fittings, compression, you know, you got like tube adapters, for, like I could just like go on, you know, like it's a very specific lingo that it's like somebody who's never smoked weed. You know, like coming in and like trying to like talk to like real, like in a conversation like this, they're like, wait, like no, what? Like what? Yeah, like it's like speaking a different language. Yeah, you know. So it's if you know how to do that and understand it, and I'm also very like mechanically minded, where you can just it's adult Legos. You can put it together a million different ways, and it just depends on like which way you understand the mechanics. So I rebuilt their Frankenstein, ran that for, you know, like 3-4 months, started playing around with the Diamond Tech, man. The Diamond Tech.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I just like.
How the fuck did you come up with that? Because there's only a certain, like maybe a handful of people that knew how to do that around the world, right?
Back then, it was an old school because a lot of these techniques came from, they've been around since like the 90s. So hydrocarbon extraction, especially for cannabis, came around like 1991. Where like the first official papers were produced. There's also like papers on you know, like they actually were doing like legit cannabis research, and like there's papers on conversions, like, you know, like what, like it gets all like atomic, and like you got to know how to read them. But me having taken AP chemistry courses, I was like, oh shit, for sure. And then I saw some. So for me, it's always like seeing it or trying it. And I saw some. My boy brought some down from NorCal, and I was like, yo, what the fuck is this, bro? And he was very secretive where he's like, oh, the tech's like $20,000 to learn. He's my boy, though. He's like, all I can tell you is that pressure and heat. And I was like, oh, so like a diamond. So and it's in a jar. So pressure and heat with certain catalysts will make a formation and perform a chemical process. So I was like, okay, started playing around with it. And like that diamond tech, I did not get any tech from anybody. I didn't learn that from a single fucking person. I made that all on my fucking own.
Shit.
That is, I have to lay that out right now because like a lot of people are like, who'd you learn from? Who gave you the secret sauce? And I was like, I knew the mechanics and I just played around with it. And they had like unlimited live resin there. Like, it was a huge grow facility, and they were like, yeah, take whatever you want. Like, you know, we're producing 200 to 400 pounds a week. So, you know, if you guys make 40 pounds, like, oh, Bloom was a fucking machine, bro. They had that shit dialed in, you know, like, it was a machine for sure. So they really, like, were killing it on the production side. It was just, and everybody, you know, like, used to hate on Bloom weed. Bloom weed, they grew there, fire. Super fire, bro. Yeah. The curing job.
Oh, man.
And that's why everybody's like, you made such fire shit out of Bloom weed. Because it's like the growers, oh my God, especially on G side, like shout out my boy Brandon, but like, dude, he like had it dialed in, bro. Some of the like culados, like you remember like the culado? And dude, we actually had a you know, like a kind of agreement with the vault and you know, like who does the yuck mouth and everything like that, who does the culado, and we were almost like a pheno hunting site for them, bro. Yeah. Like they would give us, because they had so many phenos that they were doing, like, you know, like the OJ culado, you know, like the Gary, or the Daryl Strawberry, you know, like they had like a bunch of, was fucking dude, they had a bunch of phenos that they were just like, yo, like here, try these out, because it was fire. Like it was really, really like super gas. Some of those plants were just amazing, and they would give me the whole plant. It wasn't like it was just lowers or anything like that. I would get to go through the garden and inspect all the plants and tag which ones I wanted, which was honestly most of my job there. Was just like going and like strain selecting.
That's tight. Like, and did you tell the growers like, hey, like the ones that I want you to?
Oh, for sure, because they all smoked it too.
That's tight.
Like I was the other thing about Bloom was free samples flowing, you know, like shit. And so like they were all smokers too. So they were like, dude, this shit was gas. Like I bless them with a little bit of like this and that every now and then. It was like, yeah, dude, that shit was like fire, man. So they would be on the lookout for that shit.
We got these sound commands you hear in the background. People can play them. All right. So at Echo, you're making all of their wax, or not wax, but with the diamonds. You're doing these techs. I mean, I remember I made the crossover over there as well. Flavors for days. Things were booming.
Oh, yeah. We had like 126 at any point in time, too. I think because they just had a bunch of different little rooms.
Were they taking care of you at the point where you made it to that where they're fucking booming on this?
No, but I can't really speak too much on that. But no, I don't want to ruffle
Is that kind of why you ended up leaving?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a combination of just a lot of like, you know, that like I had it so dialed in, and then like they just didn't want to like expand too much more, and you know it was at a stalemate. Yep. You know, like that's what I describe it as, a stalemate. And you know, like I had a lax job. Like that was the thing, is like, as I said, most of my time was strain selection, and then I had 2 employees that were my dogs that like were just murdering it in the lab. Like they were killing it. They could run the system faster than me. Like they were executing my SOPs to the T. Shout out my boy Miller and KB. Hey, what up? Shout out my boy Miller and KB right there. Yeah, right there. Shout out my boy Miller and KB. And then like, you know, the owner went through this kind of drama where, you know, it was like, see, like, you know, there was a lot of like, you know, like business drama that went on. And so it went from like not give a fuck, where like I was just like chilling. Like I would go make my strain selections. I'd be like, boys, you running? And then I'd be like sitting there like watching YouTube videos, like dicking around.
Jangler lunches?
Like, yeah, the Jangler lunches, man. We go on like 2-hour lunch and shit. I'd buy it. But they were taking care of me for being like I was like 26 at this point. Shut up, so like he just kind of saw me as like, oh, you're a 26 kid making like 26-year-old kid making like 6 figures, you know, like so like it was, you know, it wasn't bad, but for the money I was making them, holy holy shit. I did the metric one day. I literally did the raw math on it one day because we kept meticulous records. So, like, I did the meticulous records and, like, they straight, dude, like, I was like, it's a million tons in a year. It was almost,
again, scraps.
It was almost 8 figures in the last year that I worked there alone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Walked away, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it was a mutual agreement because they kind of tried to pull some bullshit. And
I heard some rumors. There was.
There was some bullshit, bro. Like that's why I don't like to get too in depth about it. But like there was definitely some bullshit that went on where like me and the owner virtually came to a stalemate where he thought he could execute my SOPs better and thought that like I had acted in an inappropriate way in certain ways, and I was like being lazy, this is that. And might have dished myself out a little bit, but
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're a rock star. I mean, I know.
Well, my thing is Wars, Echo, and Bloom now.
Yeah, and that's a big thing with a lot of companies that I have to talk about.
He probably got him a higher ticket, right? I mean, if their sales are X amount of dollars,
they're non-existent. They're pretty much non-existent.
But I agree, they're gone.
Yeah.
But what my point is though, you probably helped them get a higher ticket price.
They didn't, and the owner didn't care about the ticket price. He cared about volume. He was that real businessman where he came into the market and he fucked it up for a lot of businesses. Yeah, he fucked it up because they were making shit for cheap, and the weed was actually super fire. They just didn't know how to cure it, and so like I was getting fire yields, and then like he did give me the one thing I like. There was a lot of positives and negatives. Like, that's the thing in business.
You don't regret it.
Nice.
There's a lot of positives and negatives, and for me, the biggest thing that I can say positive is that shout out my boy Boris. He gave me the first Busy Bee in Arizona. Which that machine is a fucking Ferrari, bro. Making hash.
Good Life Gang.
It's a Busy Bee. Oh yeah, shout out Good Life Gang. Yep. But after running that Frankenstein for like 3 months, 4 months, he was like, "What do you need? Like, what do you need?" Yeah. And that's a smart businessman right there. Like, what do you need? Like, give me a quote and lay it out to me. And so like I'm pretty good at making like numbers look good and like a business plan, like as far as like that, where I'm just like, okay, this is how much yield you're gonna get. This is how much you have to invest. Here's XYZ, like about the production of the machine. Here's the requirements. Like I'm very technical, so I can like lay it out to people like that really well. And I've been following Boris. I was like one of his first 100 followers, and that fool is literal genius. He literally he puts the G in genius. That's my dog. Hey. And he was the first person to invent like thermodynamic recovery with liquid CO2, where like you don't have to run pumps, chillers. There's no like electrical like risk in your lab. Which back then like C1D1, people are like, "What's C1D1?"
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like they had like that. in my C1D1 at Bloom, we literally had they were like, "Oh, this is to code," and it's a fucking water cover on an electrical outlet 3 feet from the system. I'm like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?" Like, and I was always very safe about how I process. I'm a cowboy in certain aspects with like the different consults I'll take, but I'm not a cowboy when it comes to safety. So like I'm an old grandma when it comes to safety. Nice. And he gave me the right tools for the right job, and then was like, I'll hire you on any employee, because any person in a cannabis business, I'll say this right now, infrastructure is a key term. Your team, from HM, your team is everything.
Yep.
And you need to hire more people than less people. Because especially if you have really key people on your team that need to do key things, this is one thing, like you want to give that person a relaxed atmosphere because they're the playmaker.
Right.
Like you want to give them a team where they can execute. And like that's what's realizing like somebody who has good oversight and management, which ultimately became my job at Bloom. The last year I was working at Bloom, I didn't touch the system almost once.
No shit, huh?
Yeah, no. I had people, but I hired the right team,
to do the
right people. That's one thing Millie said earlier too. It's about your team. It's about the people that can execute your things for you. Because once you get to a certain point, it's impossible. And then if your all-star player gets burnt out, oh, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like, that's it, because it's just him. Like, imagine if they were playing with just LeBron. It's like, oh man, like, it's like he's running the whole game. Like, he could score a lot of fucking points, but he's not gonna win, and then he's gonna be burnt out, and then like
after fucking 30 games.
Yeah, and then like, and even that's like, holy shit.
You had KB.
Yeah.
And the Suns got KD.
There it is, yo. KB and Miller were my dream
back
team.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
Like, they were busting out runs faster than me, like doing stuff, and I would handle. I'm good at post processing, which is like when it comes out of the fucking rig, like the machine. So when it comes out, like running the machine is very mechanical, where you have to like be keyed in, and like two people with good communication, and KB and Miller were like great. We were all like, it's another thing about having a team. Communication is key. Doesn't matter how skilled they are. Doesn't like it matters about, brains, dedicate, like, like work hard, and then communication. Like, can you talk to them in the ways that you speak?
Coachable.
Yeah. And different people talk in different ways. Me and this guy, we're a little bit more direct than most.
More asshole.
So yeah.
That's what a lot of people like.
I've been called that a few times.
Yeah,
but.
like he's like, yeah, that's what talk about that, how you don't really like to work with homies and stuff, because you're actually you say it once and that's it. You know what I mean?
And I don't like to repeat myself. I don't like to, I have a certain amount of, like consideration, but like for me, I have a fairly sharp memory, and especially when it comes to like extraction, like I'm a chill guy. A lot of people like, I'm a pretty chill guy, but like when it comes to work for that's my passion.
Yeah.
And I really like have a lot of give a fucks for that. And you need to be able to communicate with somebody very directly, because if something goes wrong too, the risk factor of operating a closed loop system or losing quality, like for me in live resin, oh my God, if that shit's out of the freezer for more than like a couple minutes and it's high quality, I'm like chop chop, you're being too slow, dog. Like, like it starts to like irk me a little bit. Yeah. So it's like, but that's passion, like that's really like the OCD that's required to perfect something and to make something better. And like you'll never ever perfect anything. That's the thing about any art, any industry. There's no such thing as perfect. You're always working to up your game.
It took me a minute to figure that out too. I was always striving for that shit. Man, that fucking burn you out.
It's good to strive for it, but like it's a marathon, not a race. Especially when you give a fuck. Like I know you're passionate as much as I am about like these projects, the shop, like everything like that. But you got to realize like it's one day at a time, and you just got to make progress every day, and then be keyed in to what's going on, what's happening around, the industry, like how the industry is swinging, like the team, like there's so many different factors where you like kind of have to like take a beat and like slow down. And if you start working too hard, like you'll get burnt out.
I agree.
You'll get burnt out.
So speaking of that too, you leave Echo, things are shifting in the industry. You're a free agent at that point. It sounded like you went on to do consultations and things like that, but did you ever think about, washing? It seems like you've stayed,
from the rosin game.
So what's up?
I did. I really like thought about like pressing for a while, and I actually, when I was making a transition out of the house that I was able to process at, because essentially my roommate at the time like came to me one day and was kind of salty that I was moving out, and was like, I own this house. You can't process here anymore. And I was like, what the fuck? Damn. And so I had to go like find a homie who was chill with it, which it's like a property has to be right. You have to have a big backyard with no neighbors, no neighbors that smoke cigarettes. Like it's like, oh yeah, like no, like non see-through fence. It's like you're not trying to be out there with a can of butane. Like I had like a big fucking, 24 by 3 column. That's with dry ice and shit. And I'm sitting there with a mask on, feeding cans into it with a fucking bag full of cans next to me. Like, what's up, guys? Oh yeah, you can't blast in a shed because if there's any electrical at all, it's gonna fucking boom, bro. Yeah. Correct. Oh yeah. And and dude, like it's like, and finding a person to have that property and do that was like almost damn near.
So it seems like then this would be the opportunity, right? You're seeing it kind of pop out, being like the whole solving this wave, like.
That was right before Bloom started too.
Okay.
Where like I bought a whole setup, bro. I spent like I made a fat nut off like running some outdoor, because I would do like little like mini consoles too. Or, like that's where I like made a little bit of like spare change and shit. Where it's like I charged a decent amount of pound, and I had a homie getting some fire. This is when like the outdoor was still fire too.
Okay.
This is when like that outdoor indoor switch up happened. And like, the outdoor, oh my God, he beat this Chem D that was just insane, like stupid fire. And I could sell it like, and that's the thing is I would always sell on quality. I wouldn't sell on price of materials. So it's like I would just look for quality, like, because I had to maintain that standard. That's one big thing I'm about, is having that standard of quality where it's like, oh, if you get it from Nick or Nick's company that he's working for, like doing whatever, that's just gonna be fucking bomb.
And that's I agree.
Yep. And
that
so
was
like
standard.
Yeah, and so like I started doing that, and then it was I like made like about like 12 G's, almost 15 G's, just doing that.
Okay.
And then it was like, okay, I need to transition. And then I like tried to make the transition. Dude, the flour just doesn't carry over right. Cured pack, $2,800 pack flour, like like.
You're talking about cure? Are you talking about yield wise?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you're getting like, I was experimenting with flour rosin. Like it's a different art form, and in anything that you transition to, even if you're the best extractor, like even our non-solvent guy, shout out Big Z right now, our non-solvent guy at Bloom or fucking Jars. He's like, he comes in and he's just like, I understand it, but like, I wouldn't be able to run this thing. Like it's different. It's a different process. There's different parameters, and it matters a lot on flour. Yep. And you have to pre-wash it too. So washing's just not an option if you just live in a fucking house. Like you can try it. You can try to do it. Like, but you got to spend so much money on mods. And then at that point, like I thought I was like, oh, well, the flour turns out great press, like, like running it. So it should turn out great pressing it. Nope. Not the case. Not the case at all. And it's different too for, you get a little sciencey. It's different too because a lot of running strains, like you want to look for like grease. Like you go and touch the plant. That's a lot of how I would test out a lot of different strains. You look at the trichromes, you want like trichrome density. And then you also want it a little bit more loose. Because if the bud is actually loose, that's why sativas do so well. Is if the weed is a little bit more loose, you get better light penetration into the deeper trichromes.
More trichomes cracked.
Yeah, and you don't get more, you get better developed trichomes.
Okay,
great. That's why sun grown and outdoor.
Yeah, I'm hearing that sun grown's where it's at.
Now it's swinging back, dude. NorCal was rough, bro. Like I spent a couple months consulting on how to run freaking. I'm telling you, I'm shitting you not, probably like 15,000 pounds of just nug, bro.
Damn.
Like they got like 400 acres, dude. Like crazy.
Damn.
So and it's all smoke weed. Right. So it's all gonna be CRC. Like that's it. Yeah.
All right, we got a call. Let's see who we got here.
Who is it? What's up?
It's up service. Hi in Arizona. Who's this?
This is Jonathan with Farm Fresh.
Nice.
Oh, what up, Jonathan?
Oh, Jonathan from Farm Fresh.
What's up?
Damn, what up, buddy?
What's good, man?
Hey, how's it going, dude?
How's it going, man? We're just over here talking right now. We've got Nick Bessette's Apocalypse Extracts. You got a question for Nick, or are you calling in with something else to talk about?
No, I don't want to take away from Nick either. Big shots out to Apocalypse. Been doing it in the Valley for a long time. Big up.
Fire, dude.
I don't want to take away. I just want to address the post. It wasn't intentionally just for high grade. The original post, there was a couple other companies on there with, that I was gonna post as well, but I took off because you can only put so many frames on that audio snippet, right?
Okay.
Yep.
They're fitted really good because they're mixing salts, right? It's just to go back to like some skin their cat one way, some skin their cat the other way. We don't do that. We don't like that.
Okay, nice. So you were just more like you were just more trying to market your brand and promoting that you don't use those salts, and they just happened to get in the crossfire. So it wasn't directed at them, more directed at anybody.
Using salts ain't bad. They used to run
not so much as a market either. Just our beliefs, like how we stand, what we believe in. Like he did great. He handled it great. Like he got on here and told them, like, this is what we use. This is the representative for the company. Of course, the representative for the company is going to make it look the best he can. You know what I mean? Like he addressed it how he should address it. That's how they use it. They own it, right? Like big ups. Like big ups to Millie. He's done a lot for our community in this valley. And he's continuing to. By revamping high grade up, big shout out, like that's big. We need clean medicine on these streets.
Nice.
My thought is like All right, you got kids, right?
I do.
All right, I got 4 kids. I choose not to feed my children McDonald's. If you choose to feed your children McDonald's, that's all right. I'm not going to look at you any other way. I'm not going to downplay you like you're doing something bad. Like, you're still a great father, right?
I agree.
But from my knowledge is McDonald's causes cancer, or too much of anything that's bad can cause cancer, right? Like, cancer is a thing that you either cause or you cure, correct? I've had multiple family members die from cancer. My great-grandpa, my grandpa, and two of my uncles died from cancer.
Okay.
I switched my life habits up. I started growing synthetic. I started growing aeroponics 20 years ago. Luckily, in 2010, I met my mentor, and he taught me the ways of organic, right? Soil. So if you guys want to say it's not organic, it's not organic. I get it. We could go days and days about what's organic, what's not organic. Soil grown compared to salt grown. We're just against salt grown. That's what that post.
We got Apocalypse.
Hey, my man, I do appreciate you calling in. I want to hear you. We want to have you call back. Can we take your number down? Can you call back? Can you tune in here, man? Call back when we're done with this interview, man. We definitely want to hear what you had to say, and I appreciate you calling in and wanting to get on your side. And we got you, man. We're going to give you that opportunity, but can we get you to call back probably a little bit after the interview?
Yeah, for sure. Whenever it's good.
All right. What was your name again, boss?
Jonathan.
Jonathan, man. Appreciate you calling in, my guy.
Word.
All right there, Jonathan from Farm Fresh, calling in and responding in the middle of the interview, right? So appreciate you calling, though. We're gonna give you that opportunity. Interesting situation. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we all want to just see Arizona cannabis progress. I think that we all want to see like us smoke and have fire opportunities to inhale the best.
For me too, it's about like, people want what they want, and you have to focus on like the consumer. I'm a very big consumer like based person, where it's like, yeah, like, do I want to be making like, just like trim run outdoor shatter? Like, it's honestly, shatter's a way more specific tech than making diamonds. Making diamonds is way easier. Making batter's way easier. Yeah. It's way shorter. You get it on the shelves faster. But do I want to do that? No. Does the consumer want it? Yeah. And like, and the consumer doesn't really like care too much if it's healthy for them. It's they need it. They need it when they want it. Like,
I mean,
like,
a lot
for sure,
of people,
it can't be your steady diet necessarily if it's like unhealthy. But like, we have lab testing standards here in Arizona that they decide what's healthy. It's just like the FDA. So it's like they decide that shit. So.
Man, yeah, I mean, and that's the whole thing out here. Is
so it's just, hey, live and let live. Live and let live. That's what it's all about. Is hey.
So you went and started doing consultations. My man has worked his way into another legal opportunity, and I wanted to touch base on that before we end our interview, and it comes down to what you got going on now, man. And it took you guys quite a long time to get it going. And so what we're talking about is you're now. What is your role with Undisputed?
So for me, I'm the lead processor, and I was also like fortunate enough to be an investor in the company.
Okay.
So that's one big thing.
So you in here owning it?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't own it.
No, a portion of it.
There's investors. There's like me and Nico are obviously like the main guys on the ground.
But like, shout out Nico. What up, Nico?
It takes shout out Nico for sure,
up,
because none of this would have happened without me and him being a fantastic team.
Nice.
So like that's one big thing is that like it's for anybody out there, if you have a passion, it's gonna take a long fucking time. Like, you see me, I'm coming up on my like 12-year anniversary of trying to make hash and make money.
And you had your ups and you've had
how long was it between when you were at Echo and you left to when you started the process with Nico?
Oh, dude. Well, it was almost immediate because he was already looking for buildings. He was trying to build like a processing facility and everything like that. And like him and I were friends. So, just like linked up, started like talking about it and stuff. And then I got fired from Bloom, and then COVID hit. And so that was, I got fired from Bloom, I think 2020. Yeah, it was 2020 that it hit. Like it was like March 3rd or like March 2nd, 2020. And then it was like April, COVID. Yeah. Boom, done.
Wow.
Like, oh yeah. And then I had multiple different extraction facilities across like, oh, well, dude, but you can't like take on new employees. Process, right? You can't take on new employees. Well, all these companies were like locked in, bro, because I had all these like potential offers from other companies.
Well, are you allowed to talk about how you weren't allowed to do anything for like the contract after what happened with Bloom?
Well, yeah, I mean, like also there was all I'll say is there's some contractual things, but you know, like definitely, you know, that I was. We were at a stalemate. At a stalemate. So it comes back to that stalemate where, you know, like there were some things I had, some things they had, you know, there was some back and forth, you know, like it was not pretty, but you know, like we was just like, all right, let's just not fuck with each other, you know, like at all. Like, you know, like we're done, you know, like this is clean cut. Cause you know, I mean, like could have gone a number of different ways, but like it was just clean cut. So like, I'm blessed for that. But yeah, like COVID hit. And then all these labs that had reached out to me that were just like, we would love to have you on the team, this and this and that. They're like, we can't. And a lot of them were in different states because, you know, like I was looking at potentially like moving out of the state, you know, like anywhere I could get some money. Like I was hitting up anybody and everybody.
Who's number one in the extraction game in the nation?
There is no number one.
No shit.
Who's
your top 5 then?
It's all, it's all based on your area. So that's the thing is like different areas require different things. You know, like New York, get the best price. You know, like, oh my God, like, you know, leaders in New York.
Well, okay, we're talking about who got the gas. Who got the best fucking quality fucking heat. I mean,
it depends on like hydrocarbon or like in the game.
Whatever you want.
I don't want to make people angry right now. I do have a top 10.
Top
for sure.
10, he said. Damn, I don't know if we got time for 10, but we got time for the 3 or 5.
I got a couple. Yeah, I got a couple. So the best HTE pen, which there's a new like, you know, tech out there for, you know, getting a true like live resin pen, Cure Concentrates. For sure, all day. And Eye Crusher. Gotta shout out to my boys at Eye Crusher. Eye Crusher, man. Nice. Yup, I tried one of those at MJ BizCon this past year. I was like I was hitting Boris's, and I literally was just like, dude, I'm gonna keep this thing, bro. You're gonna fight me for this at the end of the night. Sick. Like it was true, real deal. Tasted like a fucking dab. Damn, like it was insane.
Are you impressed with where the market is going with things?
My God, yeah, I'm super impressed too. Like in the game, like I'd say them definitely like. You know, like as far as local companies, like I got to shout out some local companies right now. Because there's some people out in the nation, like nationally, that are doing it pretty crazy. But, you know, like Bro Sciences, Tanner.
Oh,
OG. Yeah, that's the OG right there. That's one of the Lax Lounge. That's one of the big brands that used to exist in Arizona, bro.
He's agreed to come onto the show, though. I do know that he's been on, he was just on with...
Hippie Chronicles.
Hippie Chronicles. So I know, like, we're trying to get him on here to go deep into that story because that man's got history.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a true OG right there.
I really want to do dedicate more time into the legend market out here in Arizona because there's people out here that have put it down for our states. You know what I mean? Like, at least the ones that I know of. And then there's some that I'm hearing through the grapevine. And I look forward to bringing those guys in too. So you're going to see a little bit of a wave of me bringing in some of our legacy industry people out here that have been doing it. Marijuana, are you guys, you know, talk to me about it. Like, what's been it like? What are you guys, you know, what's the material you guys are going to be rocking with for Undisputed?
So we're going to be doing like, we're trying to focus like all like no CRC, high quality, and like, you know, we'll make shatter. Like, of course, like that's the thing is like, you know, it's a lot of people love shatter. A lot of people love it. Like, you know, it's a huge majority of sales. You know, across the whole market. You know, if you look at a market dynamic, you know, like people want everything as long as you can do it properly. So, you know, like we're going to be focused on everything.
Good.
For me, it's just hydrocarbon from start to finish, you know, like good quality equipment, good, you know, SOPs, you know, like we'll run virtually, you know, almost anything, you know, like as long as it passes QC. But it's like, hey, there's good trim out there. There's, you know, like good, like, you know, great live. You know, we're obviously going to focus on live, obviously focus on the diamond tech and everything like that. But you're going to see a total plethora products out there.
Go.
Oh yeah,
nice.
definitely.
You learned a word today.
Gonna get some like HTE pens and stuff like that in there too.
You guys are going to be stopping into the High Lounge. It is this Friday.
Next
right?
Friday? Hell yeah!
Coming through and blazing up the members.
All right. What's your hey? Let's talk about your favorite run. What was the best Apocalypse? What was the best Echo? And what's your favorite Undisputed run?
The Undisputed. We just ran this wedding cake.
Yeah.
Oh my
Stupid.
God, bro.
Dummies.
Who grew it?
I can't say.
I know. I know.
He's gonna be listening to this podcast though.
Hey. Wink, wink.
I can't say anything officially, but it is. You open that shit up.
Damn. Let's go.
And it's just like you're like, oh, like you literally are.
Smells like it smells like it tastes,
bro.
Tastes like it smells.
Oh yeah, dude. It is literally like just pure diesel fuel.
Let's
go. Oh my God.
Let's go.
Nice little like tiny little mono diamonds and like a nice little fucking little yellow turp layer sauce. Perfect.
Let's go.
Amazing dabbable extract. As Apocalypse, that's gonna be. I used to get this Goji and this Skywalker. I used to get this Skywalker, bro. Shout out my boy Big P. Yeah. And I used to get this Skywalker, bro. Oh my God. Like you'd smoke it and you'd be like it's like a trash can. Like just with diesel fuel, like gasoline poured on it. Like,
that's good.
It was so
that
good.
Goji, they said that
like,
Goji,
the Goji was good. And then I had the Strawberry Fields too, and this 24K. Where the homie was a fucking test grower out here for DNA, and he would get like different phenos, have his own little grow, and like, dude, he got this 24K that was like, it was like King Louis and oranges just straight mixed. It was insane.
Damn,
King, 24K is shit.
And then fucking Echo. Oh man, that's a tough one.
I remember the Kosher Kush you did back in the
Kosher Kush, man.
Bomb.
The boulders, like straight, like half-gram boulders. It was, it was insane.
So what about Echo era?
Oh, that was Echo era. It was the Kosher Kush, bro.
That Kosher?
Yeah,
I think that.
I did that in the Apocalypse and the Kosher era.
But holy shit! I totally remember the Kosher though.
Some of the coladas.
This guy used to dab me out and fuck my days up, man, off those diamonds. And, oh fuck, dude.
Ooh. Yeah, the THC content in them, that's why I'm a diamond guy over a rosin guy. Like, I love my rosin, and in the night, super chill, great, awesome stone, full spectrum. But
you love your diamonds.
Oh, yeah, no, but that you rip a good rip of that, and your head high, the head high is just like, oh, it smacks.
Yeah.
A lot of stories that, there's so much shit that we could talk about. Like, I know, for example, if you want to bring up the collection too, your glass collection.
Let's talk about this motherfucking mothership.
Yeah, the mothership shit, dude.
Nico literally asked me today. He's like, "What's gonna happen when they ask you about the mothership?"
Yeah, let's talk about this shit. So bring up this motherfucking mothership.
Let me give a little bit of backstory. So basically, this man had a fucking gas ass elite that was
dude,
crushed
Scott Depp,
opal.
original.
Scott Depp, yeah.
It was crushed opal by the artist pool was Dosa.
And
so,
I think Mothership was still together as the whole team, right?
No, then when they made it, right? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, when they made it, Mothership was still the whole team, right?
That was the OG team.
Yeah, that was the OG
him,
team.
Jake, Punty, Tuba, fucking. Dude, like there's a couple other that I'm spacing on right now. Sorry guys, but you know, like it was like the dream team. That was like, and so many people. That's the one thing about Scott. He is undisputedly probably one of the best glass blowers on the fucking planet. Like he is an amazing teacher and can do shit with glass that nobody else can.
Damn.
It's amazing.
And you had this piece. It was a piece that also had though an opal in it.
Yeah.
And opal is known to have issues, right? Because
it's got a different coefficiency of glass than glass. So glass is like a semi-liquid where it will, like a glass piece in 1,000 years, like no glass piece is lasting for 1,000 years. That thing will be a slump. You know, it moves over time slowly.
Right. Wow, though, damn.
I didn't even think that on my rig. It's a semi. That's why they can melt it. That's why you can melt it and fuse it because it's a semi-solid. So it's always like a little bit like melting a little bit moving.
Yeah, Nick
My
does
fucking rigs won't last 1,000 years, though. You
Hey, you gonna be around for 1,000 years? You gonna get that Neuralink or some shit?
I was hoping that we were gonna pass it down. Like, here, Striker. Here's this.
Hell
1,000-year rig. That'd be fire.
No.
And then he'd pass it on to his little babies. You know what I mean? Like, no.
I mean,
Strikers everywhere.
But eventually, and who knows? Like, I mean, it may even be more than 1,000 years. But it's like it's always there's a little bit of tension. Like, yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
So you have
this
piece, and you fucking what happens?
So I had it had 3 bridge opals in the section for like the bucket, and then attaching like the down stem, and then in the perk. And
can you bring up this?
I had gotten like and then I made the mistake. And here's the thing for anybody with a heady glass piece. Cherish that shit every fucking day.
He loved it.
Because glass breaks. Yep. And don't ever lock that shit away in a safe, because that's what I did, where I was like, I'm taking a break from it.
I do remember those times, actually.
And I put it in my safe. 3 months later, oh yeah.
Look at it.
Yep. Oh my God. I can't believe I owned it still. And that's a piece, honestly. I used to follow High Integrity Glass. Shout out High Integrity Glass in Canada. Wow. They had that piece at a show. I had seen that piece, Power of Attraction. If you want anything in this world, you can get it, but just cherish it every single fucking day and make sure that shit's important to you. And you realize when you get something like that. Because I had that piece set up for me where it was like I was selling one of my calm birds, and then I had a pendant I could trade for a portion of the piece. And then dude's like, fly out to New York and I'll have you at my house. And it was like, it was lined up. And then I kind of like, you know, like forgot, no, I did it. And then I forgot about it. Like, no, that was when I was buying the piece.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I had it like the purchase lined up. And then like, I kind of like took it for granted. And then that's why I tell everybody, if you got a heady ass baller piece, respect that shit. Smoke it, because glass breaks. Glass breaks. You never know when that piece is gonna be gone.
It pops.
And so I pulled it out one day, full crack from the opal up to the top of the bucket, like 3/4 all the way up, and then half crack down the downstem.
Wow.
So also, if you get a broken piece, really understand and talk to the artist, because I didn't talk to Deppy ever. So I don't even know if he ever seen that shit. And that's the thing. I talked to their email person. So here's like my buddy and I've talked to Son Number 4, and I've talked to Cody Olson, a couple other people. They're like, Deppy probably doesn't even know about this shit. Like, the dude's trying to cover his ass. Deppy's in fucking hella debt. And then you have to fucking, like, he literally gets it and he's like, fuck, I don't want to burden him with this right now. And he gives it to a fucking minor glass blower, and their excuse was they dropped it and broke it when he was putting it on there. And I was like, can you send me pictures of the pieces?
Yeah.
And then we got him.
Nope. I'll ask Deppy. I asked him over a dozen times.
Is it on site still?
And then I got all the emails. Like,
Is it on site? Is it on site with Deppy?
Hell yeah. If I see Scott Deppy, at a show, I'm going to walk up to that motherfucker and I want to look in his eyes. I don't know if he's a motherfucker or not yet, but I'm going to look in his eyes and be like, hey man, do you remember this piece? And I'm going to be real nice about it. I'm going to be like, do you remember this piece? Do you did you ever try to fix it? Because I'm a factual dude. Yeah, so I'm going to be like, did you ever try to fix it? Did you ever try to fix it? Did you ever handle it? And if he doesn't, I'm going to be like, dude, and I'll have the emails right there.
I'll be right behind
Show him and be like, homie, and
this
is the most professional way to get somebody and to play your cards, is be like, what you going to do to make it right, dog?
Right, there it is.
What you going to do to make it right, dog?
Exactly.
Yeah,
there it is.
It's right there.
Scott Deppy. Make it right, baby. Let's go,
man.
What you gonna do to make it right, bro?
You know what?
Because I got a cap and a banger.
I think we're gonna make this shit right.
Yeah. Talk about that.
I got a cap, and so I have like over 20 emails and of course this is a disclosure that every glassblower needs to give. I've been given this disclosure before. I've had multiple pieces repaired by Calvin, Devil. Like reputable people in the game. Carlson just made a freaking whole mini tube out of the neck of my die card tube. But you have to let people know that there's a disclosure of, hey, this might not come, like it could fucking break. And they let me know that, and they were like, for your compensation, we'll offer you a cap and a banger. And I was like, and you'll get to choose out of a lineup. And I don't mean to get too dirty on Mothership right now. This is not a personal attack on Scott Deppy, but they were like, cap and a banger, you'll get to choose out of a lineup. That's it. And I was like, honestly, and I was running Echo at the time. So it was just like, as a company that makes probably more money than you guys are making right now, like that's not how you compensate somebody. I've had people hit me up And I had to explain to them that jars weigh different weights because they're like, this is a 0.5, bro. And I'm like, no, like some of those jars weigh different weights. You know what we do? Next time they show up, I give them a free fucking gram.
Yeah.
There it is.
Like, that's it, bro. Like, yes. And,
okay.
and to you, it's like, bro, what's a fucking even, and I asked them, it even got so far where I was like, am I able to purchase a second for wholesale? And their answer was, it wouldn't be fair to the shops and the vendors that have contracts with us.
Wow.
That to me was like, I'm trying to give you money, bro. Like, what? And this was all through their office person, like their email, like coordination handler, like logistics coordinator at the time.
Right, we're gonna figure it out.
So I didn't speak to Deppie.
Make sure
but if I see Deppie, I'm gonna show him a picture.
Hey, we're gonna talk. We can get to the bottom of this, baby, because I'm in communication, man. We're getting ready to do more drops with Mothership.
Really?
So we can now go to them and say, hey, yo.
And if he did,
this just came up.
He can tell me himself. I just want to hear it man to man.
I got you.
Yeah, I just want to hear like you look at me and be like, I broke that shit and didn't take pictures. And I'm not going to do anything about it.
Homie said, pull up the emails.
Oh, no, I got him.
Yeah, Nicky's got him.
Breaking news. We got Scott Deppie on the phone. We're going to take this call. Are you ready?
No, wait, really?
No, I was kidding.
Damn, I'm about to get a free Mothership. No, but I just want to hear him say it, bro. Like, that's it. If he did. Yeah. If he did. Because mistakes happen. But... You got me right there.
So,
but it's on site, bro.
I'm on site.
We're out there. We're gonna get him. We get to the bottom.
And if you ain't get it right, it's on site.
It's on site.
Oh yeah.
Marijuana, man.
Marijuana.
Dude, I appreciate what you've done for this Arizona cannabis community, my guy. You pushed the envelope. You're out there battling it. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I really feel that I need to reach out to the people that I'm aware of that have done that type of work for us. You know, because I mean, like, damn, man, like, I do think that, like, you guys pushing the envelope and putting yourselves out there, and there's people still to this day that are doing that on the legacy market, and shout out to you guys. And,
shout outs.
And we want to work you guys into
like,
this show, and because that's high in Arizona, baby, because I do feel like, you know, we want to represent that.
And the legacy market is important, man. Like, that's the thing is, it's like, I don't want to see that die, bro. Like, because there's always going to be people who are passionate, which is where I started. You know, like, always people who are going to be passionate and love it. And now this industry takes a fuckload of money to be. Like a ton of money.
You trying to share some of this info?
It's insane. Well, I mean, just even the regulations. So, like, if you think a project like you got to find a license. Like, I'm not going to talk numbers, but you got to find a license.
Right.
Find somebody who's going to be down with you that you can trust.
Find a license, then get approved.
And well, no, you got to find somebody who's down with you. Yeah. And they're always going to be Big Daddy. Your license is always going to be Big Daddy. You're always going to, and like owning a license out here is you know, the 10, 20 million plus. So I can talk about that number.
So, and Jars is Big Papi for you? Is that how you guys run it?
Yes.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Jars though. They're a dope company.
Shout out to Jars. They have given me an amazing opportunity to like flourish and do what I want with, you know, like it's a very respect thing. You know, it's a big respect thing where it's you know, like, you got to prove your mettle. And that's the one big thing now is why all the people who actually care about it and can prove their mettle can get into this industry, because the industry is very corporate, but it's just like beer, you know, where they want to, you know, Budweiser wants to own Lagunitas. And, you know, they're not going to own Ballast Point. Sorry to Lagunitas.
They want to own Ballast Point was Ballast Point.
And like, they're going to buy it, and they're going to be like, well, you work for us now, but we bought you because we want to change and diversify. And, you know, like, you can still own your own shit, make your percentage, do what you want to do, like, because they've, like, Budweiser makes fucking insane. Like, you ain't ever, they're cool. They're like, they're bored, you know, like,
they can lose $3 million a month and still make profit.
Like, and that's why I always preach, like, corporate cannabis, it's all about trusting your license
and trusting your partner,
trusting who you work, like who you work with, and trusting your license, because it is still corporate, and there's good people and bad people, just like even the legacy, you know. Like, there's good people and bad people, but if you can prove your mettle and get to that point, like, it's a great transition, and, you know, they'll work with you. They want quality. They're starting to recognize this stuff now. You know, like, with social media, with just outreach, branding, what you guys are doing, like, they want to diversify. So it's not a bad thing. You know, you just got to trust these people.
My man, thank you so much for blessing us with this knowledge, my dude.
All day.
I will say that I will take the next few minutes before we get out of here to open up the phone lines, man. If there's someone out there that has been listening,
shout out,
wants to call up and ask questions to the man himself, feel free to do that. I do want to give a shout out to the sponsors for showing love and putting us on here. Lunchbox presenting it to us. Leafers brand going to be putting out some fire here soon. Harvest, True Leaf. True Infusion, Never Low Glass Gallery. Shout out to Murray. We need to get Murray on this too.
Yeah, Murray's.
Damn, I haven't talked to Murray in a while. How you doing, Murray?
Yeah, Murray's usually up in the chat. That's crazy,
bro. So
he's not here right now.
Damn.
And
Good Grease Clothing. Philbrick's another person that's
Philly.
You know what I mean?
Oh, shout out Philly, big tough. Yup.
It's funny.
I haven't seen Philly in like probably 3-4 years, bro.
Really?
And I saw,
in the lounge.
I saw him in the lounge the other night for the Undisputed event.
Nice.
I was like, damn, I haven't seen you in a minute, bro.
That's wild.
Yeah, me and Philly got history for sure.
That's tight. Oh yeah,
that's the boy.
So man, we are gonna pull this winner too. I did just see right now.
$200 giveaway.
Yeah, let's do this
nice.
real quick.
For hot maintenance.
Hot maintenance.
Hello.
Did you hit this yet?
Let me see. Oh, shout out to Solventless Refinery.
Shout out Alex.
Alex is up in the house.
In the house.
One of these, baby.
Dude, that's my third one I'm on now.
Okay, so we had 6 people enter into this. We're about to pull this winner. First, let's take this call. Hi in Arizona. Who's this?
Yo, this is Ja.
What's going on, man? Appreciate you calling in.
Yo, I just want to say shout out to my boy Lit Fam. You know, it's Ja from Tissue Culture at Bloom, my man. I just wanted to say what up.
Hey, hell yeah, bro. There it is. Old school Bloom squad, man.
No shit.
Oh, yeah. That was a squad, dude. We had to lock down for sure.
Hell yeah, bro. You know we still holding it down, baby. You know how it goes.
Nice. I appreciate you guys, fam. I appreciate you.
That's love right there.
Yeah, you guys have a good night, my man.
Hey, appreciate you, dude. Oh, yeah.
Hey, man, that's love right there. That's good. All right, we're going to pull this winner right now. Here we go. And what's up with Jerry? Is... Can I do the drum roll? There we go. Winner is...
PhD-THC.
There it is.
Congratulations, man.
Congratulations, man.
Hell yeah. Enjoy that 2-1, though.
And you can go right motherfucking now. Go directly to
Get that shit.
Tempe or Mesa. Pick that shit up.
Get your thing, man.
Go
Get
on,
that
man.
shit.
Get that.
Hey, man.
Appreciate you, my dude.
Appreciate you.
Is there
I appreciate you guys.
Anything that you want to get out there before we take a little break and come back on and address some of these rumors out there floating and talk to maybe Jonathan out there? So, is there anything more so that you want to make sure you get out there before we
Oh yeah, if you love something, don't fucking give it up ever.
Amen.
Keep with your passion. Money's not everything. It's important, and trust the people you work with. 100% all day. Your team is everything.
I love it. Drop me with the link, guys. We will be right back.
Boy.
Thank you guys for the opportunity. Thank you.
Nick.
Seriously.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you the man. Shake and bake. All right, guys. We will be right back.